Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Business Key podcast with Debbie and Ochiko. On today's episode, we'll be talking about one of the UK's biggest retail giants that's on the brink of collapse. Over to you, Ochiko.
So recently in the media, the company Wilkos, so formerly known as Wilkinson, has announced that it is been put for administration. So it is really been struggling over the last few years, I believe. And there's about 12,500 shops. So just for context, it's probably a shop that's more known up north. So in places like Nottingham, Manchester, Leicester, places like that up north, it's definitely very, very well known. Not so much in London, but they do have quite a few. They do have quite a few shops. So they've got like some in Kensington and so on in London. But they sell generally like household items. They sell like stuff that you can, household items. They sell like a mix of items, I'd say. So household items. They also have stuff like gardening. It's real like mixed bag. They have like stuff that you can like for the that might be like home decor, like stuff for the rooms, etc. So they have like a real mix of items. So Wilkos have been around for quite a long time, and as I said, they're one of UK's retail giants. And they've been struggling for quite a while. So they've been put up for administration. So at the moment, they're looking for a new buyer. So I believe they've been given at the time of recording, to Wednesday. So I believe, to find a new buyer. From the media, I don't believe that any buyer has been found yet. However, I understand that there's quite a few companies that are looking to take it over. So it's rivals. So its main rivals being Poundland, The Range, a shop called B&M. I've also been touted as well as one of the opportunists looking to take advantage. So quite a number of the rivals are looking to take advantage of the situation. So it's very interesting. So now, first of all, what are your thoughts on Wilkos in general? Were you a shopper? What were your thoughts on Wilkos? What do you think has happened, or how do you think they've got into this situation?
So I have been a shopper at Wilko in the past. However, where a Wilko is located near a competitor, for example, you mentioned B&M as being one of Wilko's competitors, I personally would rather shop in B&M. That is because B&M have a very good extensive range of items that they offer. They offer very similar products to Wilko, but they tend to be at a lower price point. And because these items aren't necessarily specific to Wilko, not necessarily like a proprietary item, they're just items, general items for the home, as you mentioned, or it could be cleaning products, or it could be products for, decorating the home or to help the home smell good, or the garden and DIY items. Then in that case, I will, like most shoppers, I believe, will go for the items that are, especially when they are the same item, I'll go for the cheaper option. It's not as though going to Wilko for a cleaning product, if I can get the exact same cleaning product at B&M, it's not giving me any value to spend more for it. So that's why personally, I have been a shopper at Wilko. I do quite like DIY and home stores. I think they're quite nice to browse in. I think they have quite nice products personally. However, I think perhaps one of the reasons why Wilko may have been failing of late is the price point, and just being slightly higher than some of their competitors who offer very similar, if not identical, product ranges. What are your thoughts of Wilko, and have you shopped with Wilko before?
Yes, when I used to live in Nottingham, there was a Wilkos and B&M that were not too far from each other. So the one I actually knew about was Wilkos. So I remember shopping there first, because I think I may have seen an advert from them, I'm not sure, but they were definitely the more recognizable name. So I remember shopping there. But a lot of their items were quite sort of items that you can buy in lots of places. So, washing up liquid and stuff like that, you can easily buy from, a normal supermarket and so on. There wasn't that many unique products, I would say, that you could just get just from Wilkos. So I think that's definitely one of the key problems that they had. There wasn't really any, what was the draw? What was the attraction to the store? Why should I, as a shopper, go to Wilkos when I can get most of your items from Asda, from Tesco, from Lidl, etc.? Why should I go to why should I go to Wilkos? So that was definitely one of the issues. Then the other one, as you said, was the price. So when I eventually did go to B&M, I noticed that a lot of the stuff that they sold in B&M was pretty much identical to what they sold in Wilkos, but cheaper. So they're both not too far from each other. So why should I spend extra in Wilkos when I can get the same thing in B&M but cheaper? Literally same item. Most of the items were the same. It wasn't like Wilkos one was more quality, in my opinion. It felt like it was pretty much the same item. So I would say it was missing its kind of unique selling point in terms of why are we going there in the first place, and then also is getting beaten on price. And then in terms of like location, it wasn't even like it was like more convenient. It was pretty much similar convenience. So I think perhaps they've lost their way in terms of what is their unique, what's unique about the shop, I think was probably the biggest thing. And then, also just being beaten on price. So I think it's as simple as that. And then, of course, with the pandemic and, cost of living crisis and so on, people are very, very cost conscious. So, so I can imagine that probably accelerated the situation that they're in now. So it's a shame because there's 12,500 jobs they're talking about, people potentially losing, if they're not able to find a buyer. So it's very very sad. And a lot of people I was reading about the story, and a lot of people were talking about parallels of Woolworths. I don't know if you remember Woolworths, Debbie, in the past. So Woolworths was another UK retail store, and they kind of sold a lot of things. It was a bit of a confusing store. Like they were selling magazines, pick and mix. It was like a lot of different sections. You didn't really know what it was. It wasn't like known for any specific thing. It was kind of trying to do everything, but it wasn't necessarily the cheapest. It wasn't like a lot of the stuff you can get from the high street. There is like a similarity in that it didn't really have a unique selling point in terms of what do we actually buy from here. It was a generalist, but then it wasn't the best on price. So it was kind of stuck in the middle kind of thing, and then basically lost relevance. So do you see the parallels with Woolworths, Debbie?
I do see some parallels with Woolworths, and it is unfortunate whenever you see or hear about a company, particularly a retail company that employs a lot of people that could potentially go bust. And to your point with Woolworths being quite a generalist, but not necessarily having a specialism, I think perhaps one of the factors that may be at play are the rise of, not necessarily the rise, but the impact of supermarkets, because you generally have to go to a supermarket to purchase food. You can also go to markets and butchers, and you can shop online, but generally most people will go to a supermarket. And I would argue that most of the items that you could get at a Woolworths or get at a Wilko, you could probably get from a supermarket as well. So cleaning products, homeware, garden items, most supermarkets, particularly large supermarkets, you can probably get the items there as well. And therefore, I wonder if that had an impact in terms of people not needing to go to sort of specialist or, generalist stores that don't necessarily sell groceries, because they can just pick it up in their, weekly shop. And I think generally speaking, with the rise of the internet and e-commerce, there has been less footfall in stores anyway. And so where, you have a store that, just not, you don't have to go to Wilko, you might, unless you're moving house, you want to get some new plates or a cup, or for example, you don't necessarily have to go there. If you just want cleaning products, you can get that on your weekly shop that you typically will go to. So I think that probably has been a factor, and maybe them not taking advantage of online as much, or, finding, like you said, finding a niche that is lucrative. So for example, maybe if they sold, I don't know, really nice vacuum cleaners or electrical items, then people might feel as though it's worthwhile going in there for those items. Although there is a lot of competition online with that anyway. But just being sort of like a general homeware goods store that are, quite affordable prices, but like you said, not the cheapest. There's no real need or, to go to a Wilko. And I think that perhaps, maybe they saw a decline in the actual customers coming into store. I don't think they have much of an online presence either. And I think they probably, they are beaten on price as well by a lot of their competitors. So I think it's unfortunate, but a lot of, issues in terms of their strategy, how they positioned themselves in the last few years has probably made a big impact in terms of, their performance not being so great.
Yeah, absolutely. Great points there. The other thing as well is I actually remember in my SEMA studies, in my accounting studies, I was studying something similar to that. It was in terms of that company analysis, and what they were saying was the theory was that where you want to be is kind of two ends. You either want to be the cheapest, or you want to be the other end, which is the premium end. So you don't sell as many goods, but it's for a high price. So maybe like it's like really high quality and so on. So you want to be at one of the two ends. But where you don't want to be is the middle of the road, which is what I think Woolworths and Wilkos was. They were in the middle. So they wasn't the cheapest and they wasn't premium either. So they were just kind of in the middle. Just kind of, there isn't really anything, they're just like in the middle. They're just like general. So yeah, that's definitely one of the issues there. But yeah, no, very interesting points there that you brought along. Certainly with the online as well, because even with online, there's been, people can also order on Amazon, for example. So probably Amazon has been one of the competitors that have been taking some of their customers, because instead of going to Wilkos to get, maybe some hardware stuff, some screwdrivers or whatever, and you can just order it on Amazon and it's there the next day, So that's definitely one of the issues, yeah. Sort of having more unique products that can bring in customers that can help to drive everything else. So, you want to make a point? Go on.
Yeah, so I think from that discussion, I think what we can say are some of the business keys are to, like you said, if you have a product offering, particularly if it's not super particularly niche, trying to position yourself to not be the middle of the road, because that will often get overlooked. So either being the premium option or being the cheaper option in which you sell en masse. Also, I would say being aware of competitors and competition, what the competitors are doing, not being naive to that and just thinking that you have a fantastic product offering, but actually looking around, what are your competitors doing? What are their prices? How are they performing? Is there anything that they're doing that you can also do? So for example, like you mentioned, Amazon being one of their competitors as well. I'm sure 20 years ago, they didn't foresee that. But I think as Amazon was rising in terms of a competitor to items that they were selling, that is something that they could have considered. So how they could have a bigger online presence in order to compete with their new competitor being Amazon, how they can compete on price, what they can do to draw customers into their stores. And I think, so being flexible in terms of, what the business strategy is to make sure that you can respond to the market, being very closely aware of that. And I would also say, if you can carve out a specialism, so if there is something about the store that does, if it is a retail store, there's something about the store that draws people to it. So if you think about an M&S food hall or an M&S that has a food hall, that could be a draw to the store, is that they have really amazing food. If you go there, you get to, try that food. If it's an IKEA, you get to see the furniture in person, you get to measure it. You get to they also serve food as well, where you can have a nice treat. They also have sort of model show homes, type of layout where you can actually see or place items and see how it would look in your home, which is quite nice to see. If you think about something like a clothing store, you might have the items on mannequins so you can see how it fits the person. You can try the clothes on in store. So there's an incentive to go in. And I think, that would be the business key for me is, just being aware of your market, taking the tips that we've laid out. Just constantly being aware of the opportunities and the threats out there.
Yes, great keys, great takeaways there. And just to add on to that, I would say I certainly like the point about the IKEA as well. Yeah, those food is, very nice when you go into there. I don't know, have you tried some of their food? It's actually pretty good. Yeah, they got like some sausages that they make, like hot dogs, and got some like bakery section as well, and it's really super cheap as well. So Yeah, definitely. And also, yeah, the showroom, yeah, it's really, really nice when you go in there. So yeah, of course, yeah, definitely. They have, you know, that's definitely something they would have needed to think about. What can they do to sort of bring the customers in? You know, is there something that they can use to bring the customers in? So they were definitely missing that from Wilkos. So definitely lots of learnings for you guys. So yeah, let us know in the comments what your thoughts on Wilkos. Do you think it can survive? Do you think where do you see it going? Where do you see it going in the future? You know, or were you a shopper? Why do you think it didn't work out? You know, let us know your thoughts. We're on social media. Follow us on social media and let us know your thoughts. So that's all for today. So we'll see you next time on the Business Key podcast.
Bye.
Bye.